One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will strike you as the most beautiful. Most people do not really want freedom, because freedom involves responsibility, and most people are frightened of responsibility. Unexpressed emotions will never die. They are buried alive, and will come forth later in uglier ways. We are never so defenseless against suffering as when we love. He that has eyes to see, and ears to hear may convince himself that no mortal can keep a secret. If his lips are silent, he chatters with his fingertips, betrayal oozes out of him at every pore. Religious doctrines are all illusions, they do not admit of proof, and no one can be compelled to consider them as true or to believe in them. In the depths of my heart, I can't help being convinced that my dear fellow men, with a few exceptions, are worthless. Immorality, no less than morality, has at all times found support in religion. Whoever loves becomes humble. Those who love have, so to speak, pawned a part of their narcissism. No, our science is no illusion. But an illusion it would be to suppose that what science cannot give us, we can get elsewhere. Religion is an illusion, and it derives its strength from the fact that it falls in with our instinctual desires. Where the questions of religion are concerned, people are guilty of every possible kind of insincerity and intellectual misdemeanor. The virtuous man contents himself with dreaming that which the wicked man does in actual life. He does not believe, that does not live according to his belief. Beauty has no obvious use, nor is there any clear cultural necessity for it. Yet civilization could not do without it. The intention that man should be happy is not in the plan of creation. My love is something valuable to me which I ought not to throw away without reflection. Men are more moral than they think, and far more immoral than they can imagine. Love and work are the cornerstones of our humanness. The creative writer does the same as the child at play. He creates a world of fantasy which he takes very seriously. The more the fruits of knowledge become accessible to men, the more widespread is the decline of religious belief. What progress we are making! In the Middle Ages, they would have burned me. Now they are content with burning my books. Loneliness and darkness have just robbed me of my valuables. A man should not strive to eliminate his complexes, but to get into accord with them. They are legitimately what directs his conduct in the world. Poets are masters of us ordinary men, in knowledge of the mind, because they drink at streams which we have not yet made accessible to science. Men are strong so long as they represent a strong idea, they become powerless when they oppose it. You wanted to kill your father in order to be your father yourself. Now you are your father, but a dead father. Love in the form of longing and deprivation lowers the self-regard. It is a predisposition of human nature to consider an unpleasant idea untrue, and then it is easy to find arguments against it. No neurotic harbors thoughts of suicide which are not murderous impulses against others redirected upon himself. The liberty of the individual is no gift of civilization. It was greatest before there was any civilization. We are so constituted that we can gain intense pleasure only from the contrast, and only very little from the condition itself. The dream is the liberation of the spirit from the pressure of external nature, a detachment of the soul from the fetters of matter. Conservatism, however, is too often a welcome excuse for lazy minds, loath to adapt themselves to fast-changing conditions. In mourning it is the world which has become poor and empty. In melancholia, it is the ego itself. America is the most grandiose experiment the world has seen, but, I am afraid, it is not going to be a success. Words and magic were in the beginning one and the same thing, and even today, words retain much of their magical power. Civilized society is perpetually menaced with disintegration through this primary hostility of men towards one another. A religion, even if it calls itself a religion of love, must be hard and unloving to those who do not belong to it. The more perfect a person is on the outside, the more demons they have on the inside. Where such men love, they have no desire, and where they desire they cannot love. I never want to belong to any club that would have someone like me as a member. The unconscious of one human being can react upon that of another without passing through the conscious. Our memory has no guarantees at all, and yet we bow more often than is objectively justified to the compulsion to believe what it says. Only a rebuke that has something in it will sting, will have the power to stir our feelings, not the other sort, as we know. When one does not have what one wants, one must want what one has. I do not in the least underestimate bisexuality. I expect it to provide all further enlightenment. The weakness of my position does not imply a strengthening of yours. Human life should not be considered as the proper material for wild experiments. In matters of sexuality, we are at present, every one of us, ill or well, nothing but hypocrites.